We know that in the fashion world, they change the colors seasonally, and people talk about spring colors, summer colors, fall colors. Well, there is a reason that's very intuitive behind that is based on Ayurvedic principles. Welcome to the Wisdom of the Body podcast. I'm your host, Heather Grzych. Here, we talk about the profound connection between mind, body, and spirit. Join me and other authors, wellness experts, and everyday individuals talk about the importance of listening to our bodies, trusting our guts, and living in deeper harmony with nature. So, whether you're seeking guidance on your wellness journey or simply looking for inspiration, you're in the right place. We're thrilled to be in the top 3% of podcasts globally. You can find the Wisdom of the Body podcast on Apple, Spotify, and most other places where people listen to podcasts. You can follow by joining my email list at heathergrzych.com or by following me on Instagram at Heather Grzych. That's Heather, Grzych. I know you're going to love this podcast, so take a second right now to subscribe. Hey, why do you think that we change our wardrobes when the seasons change? Some of it's common sense, and a lot of it's based on principles of Ayurveda. And today we're going to talk about when we change our wardrobe, it's a signal to change other things about our daily routines. So let's get started. When the seasons shift and we begin to swap out things like our heavy sweaters and scarves for, say, lighter spring clothes, there's a very subtle yet powerful change that's also happening within our bodies. It's a change that affects not just the clothes we wear, but also what we choose to nourish our bodies with. Many of us may not immediately connect the dots between our wardrobe and our diet, but in Ayurveda, this transition is absolutely essential to restore balance and well-being. It's about aligning the natural rhythms around us and ensuring that we are supporting our bodies in the most harmonious and healing way possible. And it's ancient, this connection between clothing and food and seasonal changes. Because our ancestors, they instinctively understood the profound relationship between our environment, the clothing, and the food choices. The act of changing clothing wasn't simply for appearance. It had a very functional purpose, right? It was a way to protect and nurture the body according to the seasons. They didn't have air conditioning and heat and things like that back then. So as temperatures shifted, so did their diets, so did their clothes, and a lot of their seasonal routines had to change. And this ensured that they remained resilient and vibrant. And Ayurveda, which is a healing tradition from India that's very ancient, still connected with a lot of those ancient behaviors, still teaches us that everything in life is interconnected and constantly in flux. Our bodies are absolutely no exception. Ayurveda encourages us to adjust our lifestyle, especially our diet and our clothing and our daily routines, so that we're always in tune with the changing energies of the seasons. And when we do this, we'll feel more grounded, more energized, and more capable of navigating the demands of these busy modern lives that we have created for ourselves. So, seasonal eating, you may have heard of. Ayurveda works on the concept of doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and these three energies govern everything around us, from our body type to our mental and our emotional states. And as the seasons change, so too does the energy of these doshas, which means that our eating habits must shift in harmony with nature too. So for example, in cooler months of winter, the Vata dosha can become more prominent, or the cold qualities become more prominent, as well as dry, and that cold and dry energy can enter the body. So to counterbalance this, we need foods that are warming and moist and nourishing. So like thick soups, stews, root vegetables, things that provide stability, comfort, and warmth. And then common sense would tell us, right? As the summer approaches, our diet is going to shift toward cooling and hydrating foods because we're going to be sweating a lot when it's warm out. So hydrating foods like leafy greens, fruits, lighter grains to counteract that fiery nature of Pitta, which has a lot of fire element in it. So when we embrace the seasonal eating, we align ourselves with the natural flow of the world around us. And that allows our body to thrive and digest well and assimilate our nutrients more effectively. So color in our clothes, that matters too. So when we choose our clothes, we're looking at the thickness of a piece of clothing or how it feels on our skin, but also the color is also important when the seasons change. So we know that in fashion, in the fashion world, they change the colors seasonally, and people talk about spring colors, summer colors, fall colors. Well, there is a reason that's very intuitive behind that, that is based on Ayurvedic principles. So many people don't realize that the colors that we choose, they also have an impact on how we feel and how we function each day. So in Ayurveda, this color and the energy are deeply interconnected. The hues we wear, they can help us or, to stay in harmony with nature and the season, or they can bring about imbalance. So I just want you to think about, say you are in the middle of summer and you're very, very hot and you decide to wear a red shirt. Do you think that that's going to give you a more cooling feeling or a more heating feeling? Similarly, if you're in the middle of winter and you have that cool energy of winter, do you think that wearing something like white is going to feel cooling or warming as opposed to wearing red in that season? In the spring, that we often wear pastels, right? So some people say, oh, it's because the flowers that come out in spring. Well, in spring, we have a lot of kapha energy. In Ayurveda, that's when the kapha energy builds. So the moist and melting energy of kapha coming out of winter in the spring season, it's a very heavy energy. And so the pastel colors actually help lighten the energy of that particular season, as opposed to wearing something deep and grounding. Like there's nothing more grounding than, say, like a brown or an olive green, right? Those are the colors of the earth, literally. So in spring, those are not necessarily the colors that are going to counterbalance an energy that is already very present. It's going to add more of it. So you want to add some of these opposing qualities to the already dominant energy of the season to bring balance. And so that's the idea in Ayurveda behind why people wear different colors in different seasons. And in fact, there are also different colors associated with the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha times of day. And one of my teachers, Dr. Vasant Lad, actually used to wear, throughout his day teaching us when we were in Ayurveda school at Mount Madonna, he would actually he would wear kind of like a scarf or a sash, I actually don't know the name of it, over his suit when he was teaching. And he would wear one in the morning and a different one in the afternoon and a different one in the evening at the different times of the day to bring a different kind of energy to that time of day, right? So the middle of the day when the sun is high and there's that most intense energy of the midday period, he would wear a particularly cooling color, maybe a white or something like that, that was more dominant at that time of the day. So that was really fun to see. And it made me think a lot about the principles behind a lot of the things that we just take for granted in society today. Well, there is a part to intuition, and there's a deeper connection with nature that people have had throughout time to get our bodies and get our psyches more in touch with the changing of the seasons. And fashion's a great example of it. So when we wear colors that resonate with the season and bring some of those more harmonious colors, we subtly align ourselves with the energetic qualities of that particular time of year. And that supports our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. It's a simple yet transformative practice that can help you be more centered and feel more like yourself. So the risks of not doing stuff like this, so when we ignore nature's rhythms, what happens? What happens if we don't align with the seasons? Why does any of this matter? Well, when we neglect to honor the natural flow of the seasons, when we refuse to adjust our diet or our clothing or our habits accordingly, the consequences can be more profound than we realize. It might start with something subtle, a subtle sign. So, say it's like a feeling of fatigue or restless sleep, or perhaps a minor digestive upset. But over time, when we ignore the need to align with nature's rhythms, that can lead to more serious disruptions in our body, mind, and spirit. Think of a drop coming from a tap that keeps dripping and dripping and dripping. Well, our bodies can accumulate these drips of subtle imbalance over time. And when they become accumulated, that leads to imbalance. So imagine this, you continue to wear your summer clothes as fall comes in, which is very crisp, and those winds begin to chill the air, or you persist in eating cold salads and smoothies when your body is begging for warmth and nourishment. And at first, it might seem harmless. Perhaps maybe it's even convenient because it's what you were doing and it's what you're used to. But in the quiet depths of your body, an imbalance starts to take root. And that subtle dissonance between what your body needs and what you're giving it just begins to accumulate. Over time, this imbalance can manifest in chronic stress, digestive issues, weakened immunity, and even mood swings. So Vata energy, responsible for dryness and coldness and irregularity, can spiral out of control. That could lead to anxiety, restlessness, or an inability to focus. Your digestive system can no longer be supported by the grounding warmth that it craves because you're not giving it to it. And that can become sluggish or unpredictable or bloated or irregular digestion that can leave you feeling unwell. And without the right nourishment at the right time, your immune system can then weaken, leave you vulnerable to colds, infections, and more serious health concerns. So the deeper danger of not listening to the rhythms of nature and the changing of the seasons is that the erosion of your connection to yourself can happen. When we resist aligning with nature, we resist our own body's wisdom. And the longer this disconnection persists, the further we drift from our true state of health and vitality. And it's as though we're swimming against the current of life and exerting more energy than necessary and never quite reaching the shore. And that inner peace and balance that you long for is just out of reach. And it becomes harder to find joy in those everyday moments. And the body will start to send louder and louder signals until those signals can no longer be ignored. But it doesn't have to be this way. This downward spiral doesn't have to be your reality. By making small intentional shifts, you can tune into the rhythms of nature and the seasons. You can adjust your diet and you can align your lifestyle with nature's rhythms. And if you do that, you can break free from the cycle of imbalance and disconnection. And you can reclaim the vitality, the clarity, and peace that, frankly, is your birthright and that maybe you've just gotten a little bit disconnected from, because we all do in modern life. There's a lot of distractions that cause that. So don't wait for those signals to become too loud to ignore, right? And even your microbiome changes seasonally. There's a lot of interesting research on how the microbiome changes in different seasons, different times of day, even in pregnancy, and it changes as well in different stages of pregnancy. So you want to do things that support your gut, the terrain of your gut, so that the microbiome is appropriate for that particular season. Did you know that your gut's microbiome changes? A lot of people don't know that. And there's a delicate balance of bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms that live within your body, especially in your digestive system, and that's influenced by the food you eat. It's influenced by the weather. It's influenced by a whole bunch of things. And so just as Ayurveda recognizes the importance of seasonal eating, modern science has discovered that our microbiome also thrives on seasonal shifts. So when you adapt your diet to the changing seasons, you support a healthier and more resilient microbiome. And we all know that that's something a lot of people are trying to do these days for stronger immunity, better mood regulation. The foods that nourish your gut, the bacteria, the skin of the gut, the tissues of the gut, They are the same ones that align with the qualities of each season. So balancing according to the season to create properly formed tissues in your body, those are the same ones that those proper gut bugs need as well. So as your internal environment shifts with the seasons, the nourishment that you choose becomes more than just fuel. It's literally like a key to maintaining balance within and creating that. So it's fascinating how when we think about adjusting our diets and our habits in subtle ways, we can actually experience very profound changes, even in how we think and feel and move through life, just by little changes happening in our belly, making these conscious choices to change what's available in the gut. So if we don't change our diet, so what's the risk of not changing our diet when the seasons change? What happens when we don't adapt? Well, not changing your diet when the seasons change, it's not just a small oversight. It's a fundamental disconnect from your body's natural needs. So imagine you're trying to run a marathon with a broken shoe, or you're attempting to sail a boat with the wrong wind in your sails. It might seem like you're moving forward, but it's incredibly inefficient. And in the long run, it's going to lead to exhaustion, frustration, and ultimately a failure to reach your destination. So when you refuse to shift your diet according to the seasons, you're essentially ignoring your body's natural rhythms, just as if you were refusing to acknowledge a shift in the weather. So for example, when the air turns dry and cold and you persist in eating those cold raw foods, you are bringing in too many of those qualities. You're continuing to build on that cold property that's already building in you in that season. And your body likes to achieve homeostasis. So it's always going to be trying to do things that bring it back to a middle ground. But if you keep adding the things, taking it away from that middle ground, you're asking your system to function in a way that is not optimal. And this kind of neglect, certainly it seems harmless at first, but it adds and it builds. And it's not just about the gut, because ignoring the seasonal dietary shifts can lead to a cascade of problems throughout your entire system. We all keep hearing people say, oh, the gut is connected to the rest of the body, or, things that happen in the gut impact the rest of the body. You might hear of the gut brain axis. You might hear of the gut whatever system axis. The gut influences all the other systems. Your immune system, say it gets deprived of sleep, or it gets deprived of the nourishing foods that it needs in winter, that immune system gets weak. So your gut even impacts your immune system. And things that might be mild insults coming from the environment, bacteria, virus, they become bigger insults, and your body has bigger reactions to them when your body's out of balance, because you haven't been behaving in a way that is in line with the seasons of nature. And mentally, it doesn't stop there, because as your physical health deteriorates, your mental clarity and your emotional stability also begin to unravel. And you think you have a mental problem, but it's also a physical problem. So your gut affects your mood. It affects all the systems of your body, and it needs different things seasonally. It doesn't have to be this way, right? So I'm telling you the risks of not adhering to the seasonal changes. You don't have to wait until your body gives you a wake-up call in the form of an illness or exhaustion or some issue with your immune system or deep, deep, deep emotional overwhelm. The more you ignore what nature is asking of you, the further you're going to drift from a natural state of balance. So seasonal eating is a gift, and it brings your body into harmony with the world around you. It's not just about food, it's about this ancient wisdom and honoring that ancient wisdom that exists within your body, and it exists in nature around you. You can see, like, I was walking the other day and there was a lizard that came out on the trail in front of me. And I was like, wow, I haven't seen a lizard for a few months. And it's because it's been really cold, and lizards don't just pop out when it's cold. They don't have enough warmth in their bodies to be able to run around on a trail. So their energy levels are lower. And so you're going to have certain kinds of energy naturally in certain seasons. You need to work with those changes that take place in each season. So you don't have to wait. The time to realign with your body's true needs is now. Don't let another season pass by out of sync. Take action today, and you can feel the difference that seasonal eating can make. So when we dress according to the season and we nourish ourselves with the appropriate foods, these are just examples. There are other things that we can change as well seasonally, maybe how we take care of our skin, things like that. We honor our body's innate intelligence. Maybe we have different work schedules seasonally as well, right? So we align with nature's cycles. We bring ease and balance and flow into our lives. And it's very simple, yet not a lot of people commit to this natural rhythm in a way that feels effortless and transformative. Many people today, perhaps without even realizing it, are reconnecting with the timeless practices of their ancestors, and they are adjusting their wardrobes, shifting their diets, and making subtle changes in how they care for themselves in ways that mirror the practices of generations before them. These small intentional changes often lead to very profound results, greater energy, clearer minds, and a deeper sense of well-being. This ancient wisdom from Ayurveda reminds us that when we align with nature's cycles, we're going to unlock a deeper sense of balance and vitality. And just like others who have embraced these practices, you too can feel the difference when you start making seasonal adjustments to your lifestyle. And it's about returning to something that's not new at all, but rather something deeply, deeply, deeply embedded with us, just waiting to be rediscovered. So if you're curious about how to start a journey of alignment with nature, you might be wondering how others have successfully navigated these shifts. They often begin by tuning into the wisdom of Ayurveda, making small, mindful changes that help them thrive with the seasons and the benefits that they experience. The clarity, the peace, the vitality are a testament to the power of working with nature, not against it. So if this resonates and you're ready to explore how these practices can work for you, you may find that guidance and support could make all the difference in unlocking a deeper connection to your body's natural rhythms. Many people like yourself have taken the first step and discovered how transformative it could be. And so it might be the perfect time to explore how aligning with nature can help you feel more balanced, grounded, and in tune with your true self. Thanks for being here today. If you are embarking on a fertility journey and are ready to have your mind blown about what your body is really capable of and how it's impacted by the environment, then check out my book, The Ayurvedic Guide to Fertility. You can actually download the introduction to the book for free on my website at heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, Grzych.com. Read the intro for free and then buy the rest of this fertility enlightening book pretty much anywhere books are sold. Feeling like there's just not enough time in the day? You're not alone. Many of my clients, like Jessica, come to me overwhelmed, struggling and feeling the effects of aging. After just a few Ayurvedic sessions, Jessica was sleeping better, her digestion was regular, and she felt her vitality again. Ayurveda isn't about adding more to your plate. It's about creating balance so you can make time for what matters. Ready to reset your health and your life? Visit heathergrzych.com and book your consultation today. Thank you for tuning in and dropping in with us today. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. I really want to hear your feedback. To learn more about my work, visit heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, Grzych.com. And meet me here next time on The Wisdom of the Body.